III, Dr. Vilas Shinde Sir, HOD and organizing convener and host of this workshop, heads of department, invited guests, all III National Council members, faculty, delegates and students. Today we are entering into the fifth and last day of this online workshop. It is indeed pleasure to say it is a nice event initiated and launched by our beloved HOD, Dr. Vilas Shinde Sir, and successfully managed the session of last 4 days. Today, I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all present here on Zoom online for the webinar of last day for the session 10 of this one-week workshop on the topic Artificial Intelligence Driven Industrial Engineering Practices, Concept and Construct Industry 4.0 by Dr. G.T. Thampi Sir. We will start this session with worshipping the Devi Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge and prosperity in usual manner. I am now requesting Chairperson of III DMC chapter, Ms. Shivani, to perform audio of Saraswati Vandana. Thank you. Now I would heartily like to welcome our Honorable Management Committee, also Professor Dr. R.P. Mohanty, Honorable President, III. Shri Damodar V. Bhagat, Honorable Chairman, III. Shri Shrijit Bhattacharya, Honorable Treasurer, NYSS. Principal Dr. G.T. Thampi, our today's eminent speaker. Our Principal, Dr. S.D. Savarkar Sir, Honorable Principal, Datta Mege College of Engineering. Principal Dr. Vivek Sunnapawar, Honorable Secretary, III. Principal Dr. Sanjay Bokade Sir, Chairman, Mumbai Chapter III, Member, National Council III. Professor Dr. S.R. Devne Sir, HOD IT, Dean Academics. Sir Dr. Vilas B. Shinde Sir, Treasurer, III. Head of Department Mechanical Engineering, Dattameke College of Engineering, Organizing Convener and Host. Along with this, I would also like to welcome all the heads of department. Thank you so much. There is a request from National Council member Shri Abhay Jemse sir, who was yesterday's eminent speaker, to speak for 2 minutes.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Dr. Vilas Shinde, delegates, all students, on the last day of our workshop. Thank you for accepting my special request. I just wanted to express my feelings, love and affection towards Dr. Shinde for his excellent work done organizing this workshop by presenting the portrait I made in a short time.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Jansen.
And I wish him best luck for his future endeavor. This is just to make the event memorable for all of us. Thank you.
I would like to inform all this our Jansen sir yesterday in the introduction. I could not make a point, but he's a very good artist. He used to draw this particular sketch yesterday after his session, and he's used to have this kind of hobby. He's an expert in the fine art, in sculpturing, drawing, and etc. So that was a miss yesterday's in his introduction. But thank you so much, sir. From my bottom of heart, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Without
Sir.
taking much of your time, I wish you best luck for your future endeavor.
You have sent it to the email of my son. He has took the printout and handed over to me, sir, on behalf of you. Thank you so much.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
I just tried to do that. It's done.
Thank you, sir.
Let me see it in your hand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, James sir. It was such a nice gesture from your side. Now, I would like to proceed further. Now, I request our HOD, Dr. Vilas Shinde sir, to welcome and introduce today's guest speaker, Dr. G.T. Thampi sir.
Yeah. First of all, I welcome all and good morning to one and all. Honorable Chairman of the Sanstha, Dr. Subir Kumar Banerjee, all the honorable member of the Managing Committee, our honorable treasurer, Jit Bhattacharya ji, the III President, Dr. Mahanti, III Chairman, Dr. D.V. Bhagat, all the National Council member of III Mumbai chapter, Chairman Mumbai chapter, all head of departments, invited guests, faculty delegates, and my dear students, friends. It is a very indeed a pleasure to report about this particular event, which we have started on Monday, that is 18th of May, that which have started from the lockdown 4.0, and we today are in the last day of this workshop. It was inaugurated by Dr. S.S. Mantha, Honorable former Chairman of AICTE Navi Delhi and Chancellor of the KL University, Andhra Pradesh. And after that, there was a continuous session from all the stalwarts from various field of engineering, industrial engineering, which is not related to the industrial engineering, but it is expand to the other branch of engineering also. So the Professor Ravikant, Professor Tushar Desai from SVNIT Surat, then Professor Saigal, who is a managing director of Mumbai Railway Vikas Corporation, and there is a list of, even yesterday Dr. Jemse was with us, and today our eminent speaker is our beloved, my beloved guru, and the principal Dr. G.T. Thampi, who is a principal of the Thadomal Sahani College of Engineering, Bandra, Mumbai. He also professor of earlier, the former professor of Sardar Patel College of Engineering, Mumbai, and sir is having a very expertise in the both areas, rather mechanical engineering, industrial engineering, and information technology also. His biodata is very large, but I try to extract at my level and just introduce before you. Sir, Dr. Thampi has completed his PhD from VJTI, Mumbai, in Mumbai University in 2004, because I did post-graduation in 2004 under the same guide, that is Dr. Mantha. And after that, sir has expertise himself in the various areas: mechanical engineering, information technology, artificial intelligence, and the machine intelligence also. He is having more than 100 research papers in the various domains. He's having a kind of the around, so 19 students have already awarded the PhD under his able guidance, and around 10 students are in progress under his guidance at this point of time. He's having expertise in a various field, and he used to give the resource lecture in the various kind of era of the present modern industrial engineering, and the present he is also one of the important member, or rather coordinator, who has started the BSc IT and MSc IT and MCA program in the University of Mumbai when Dr. Mantha was in Faculty of Technology, and we both have contributed that time. So with this introduction, I would like to request before that, Bhagat sir is there. Bhagat sir? Bhagat sir?
Sir, good morning.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
please say a few words on this occasion. You are a chairman of III, sir.
Sir, it's a. So thank you very much, sir, Dr. Vilas Shinde, sir. You have organized this program, online lecture series, very nicely, and you have got a very huge response from all the faculties, all the students, and from everywhere. So I congratulate you and thank you for the same, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank
Thanks,
you so
sir.
much.
All the
Thank
best.
you so much. There is a best wishes from our management also. Our Honorable Treasurer, Sir Srijit Bhattacharya. Sir, you would like to say a few things, sir?
I'd like to thank you for organizing this. It is the job
Thank
well
you so
done.
much, sir. Thank you so much.
I'd like to welcome all the eminent guests for today's session as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you. So there is a blessings from our management and trustees also. So I will hand over the mic now to our today's eminent guest speaker, Dr. G.T. Thampi. And I request, sir, you can start the session.
Good morning to one and all.
Good morning.
I can see veterans in the attendee list. My friends and colleagues from Mumbai University. I completed 33 years in the University of Mumbai as a teaching faculty. The biggest learning is of this experience. At the outset, I express my sincere gratitude to Professor Vilas Shinde for inviting me for this program and webinar. I am overwhelmed by the energy and enthusiasm and vision of Dr. Vilas Shinde in organizing this, initiating this in a psychologically depressed scenario. My heartfelt congratulations and wishes for Dr. Vilas Shinde.
Sir, just a moment. One of my friend is there online. That is Professor Lavendra Bothra, who is chairman of the Allamuri Ratnamala Institute of Technology, Shahapur. I saw him at the very first moment, but in my flow of talking, I forgotten to welcome him. I welcome you, Dr. Bothra, for this particular online workshop. So please, sir, take over.
I also acknowledge the presence of Dr. Bothra. Again, very entrepreneurial, resourceful personality among us as in teaching faculty. Best luck to him also. And I undertake this topic essentially not because I am having huge expertise, but then I am very keen on creating a changing the perspective of mechanical engineers and industrial engineers. They cannot live in isolation. They should also understand what are the other enabling technologies which can be used as a force multiplier and resource multiplier. I say Industrial engineers, mechanical engineers are expected to understand and perceive and develop proficiency in using, identifying and using information technology. I say for mechanical engineers, this amounting to enabling technology. So all the manufacturing engineers, professionals and engineering graduates, industrial engineering graduates are expected to develop basic understanding as a user, not as a person who is going to contribute to the cause of computer engineering or information technology or data science. But they should not be away from the massive possibilities getting unleashed by these technologies, which are nascent, doesn't have much of history, evolved over a period of last 30, 35 years. But you, no way you can shun away from this. Academics, I have seen academicians trying to remain in quarantine, psychological quarantine, not to accept other field. But then for engineering graduates, those who are graduating now, those who haven't yet stopped learning, is requested to develop basic footprints of this technology. So these are the motivation driving factors to make me undertake this particular session. I'll open my presentation where I ask now why we start with a slide which is asking why we discuss this now. Why this topic to be discussed now? Now, many times we as an academician ask students, why concurrent engineering now? Why ERP now? Why we are discussing TQM now? The reason is the ecosystem. Ecosystem is ripened. Ecosystem ripened, evolved to facilitate the TQM. Ecosystem, the technology ecosystem ripened to enable business process re-engineering. Ecosystem networking technology matured to enable ERP. ERP evolved from MRP. There's a history of evolution. So at the end, the deciding factor is pervasive, ubiquitous networking technology, computing technology. Therefore, on the same line, now we ask why we discuss Industry 4.0 or relating artificial intelligence with artificial intelligence with Industry 4.0. Now we are in a scenario where massive opportunities are evolving for India as a nation state, as a manufacturing destination, because of socio-political, global political scenario. Possibly Chinese economy can take a beating, and a lot of American entrepreneurs, American, European investors can switch to Indian setting, because we offer, as a country, we offer a lot of cost and quality arbitrage. Cost arbitrage means what? America, US, you have to pay say $100 for a specific activity. Here we can get it done for $10. So that kind of leverage. Similarly, We are creating Indian, knowingly, unknowingly, we create a lot of capacity engineering colleges all over India that result in creating a lot of graduates with a lot of work culture, good work culture, a lot of understanding. Possibly no other country in the world creates so many engineering graduates. Now people will say students are not getting job because they are not of quality. These are all deliberate propaganda. The real actual fact is we don't have some reason we don't have new investment in major sectors. Therefore, there is no new job, not because of the lack of quality of the student, but then this investment etc. is again cyclical. Now, for hundreds of factors getting into all these decisions, there is a natural cycle, natural investment cycle. A lot of natural causes like this pandemic, COVID-19, corona pandemic, cyclone, earthquake, tsunami, these are all natural causes. In front of these natural causes, we are realizing that we are nothing. Even with all the technological wherewithal, we are too small in front of when you engage natural causes comprising of this climate change, tsunami, pandemics. We are too small. We are aspiring to go to Mars. That is possible, but then the final say of natural causes cannot be overruled. So the investment is also cyclical in nature. So this is again part of natural causes. We are too small to modify. The government is too small. All over the world, American establishment is too small to decide and modify this investment cycle. So wait for this. Anyway, we are prepared. We are here with all the preparation. We are with a lot of engineering graduates who is willing to work for 3 lakhs, 3.5 lakhs, 4 lakhs per annum. That is unheard in other part of the world. So there is massive opportunity evolving for India as a manufacturing destination, both mechanical and electronics. A lot of investors from all over the world is expected to switch to come to India, shunning away Chinese setting. These are all natural causes. This might be accelerating the pandemic and the political, international political development might be accelerating. Even otherwise, India is expected to evolve as a manufacturing destination, mainly because we are the only one country which offer this level of this degree of cost and quality arbitrage. We have seen this with Japan. The moment a country becomes affluent, the population, the youngsters shunning away, will be going away from learning mathematics, science, etc. So the number of engineering graduates, science graduates come down the moment the country become affluent. That happened with the US, that happened with China, that happened with Japan, that happened with South Korea. So this is a natural progress again. So this affluence is an antidote for motivating students to study mathematics and science. Fortunately, we are in a proper place and time offering massive number of graduates for global market to thrive on their manufacturing. So we cannot live in the laurels. We cannot assume that everything will happen by default. We need to act as a catalyst, as a political establishment, government, political establishment. and educational experts, educational institutes, private capital in education. The biggest contribution of Indian economy is by the private capital in engineering colleges, which in turn created massive capacity in India. That was the main reason for IT revolution in India. IT revolution in India is essentially a function of private capital in education. Nobody speaks about this. So Narayan Murthy and other people is offering cost arbitrage to global marketplace, essentially because the private institutes, private engineering colleges created so many capacity. A lot of automotive engineers, engineering graduates are there in all over India, especially southern state and Maharashtra, which attracts a lot of auto component producers and automotive players, including Benz and that kind of people. So the setting is right. Now we have to seize the opportunity. So in that effort, so we are trying to sensitize people to go one notch above the current scenario. So we are trying to be the best in the world of human capital. This effort we are trying to again revisiting the literature on Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is Industrial Revolution 4, fourth Industrial Revolution. Possibly the first Industrial Revolution was provoked by steam engine. Second was invention of electricity. Third was driven by semiconductor controls and robotics. And fourth is essentially driven by artificial intelligence. Now, even without India kind of scenario, we are blessed with a lot of population. We may not be driving a lot of cost arbitrage or profit out of this new setting, new scenario, AI-driven scenario. But then it's a way of life. Whether AI or computer-driven procedure is necessary or not, we cannot go back. It's a way of life. Huge momentum. You cannot live in isolation. So the saying is, if you cannot defeat, join them. No other option but join the momentum of embracing technology and technology-driven procedures, which drives the whole economy. Now, if you need to thrive in the global marketplace, you need to develop some attributes as a marketplace, as a technology market. India as a technology marketplace, India as a provider of supply chain or human capital needs to have something in control. So about artificial intelligence, why this discussion? AI is expected to be large driver of enterprise competitiveness in the not so distant future. Even it's already AI is driving a lot of competitiveness. The Goldman Sachs, we have to go by the best of lot in the global setting. The best of brain gets attracted to investment banking all over the world. The best of brain, independent of their basic training, whether it is engineering or economics or commerce, the best of brain gets attracted to the investment banking, the stock market. The best of brain are there in New York, they're in London, they're in Singapore, they're in Mumbai. Therefore, our Bothra is also of that kind. The best of brain is also into money matter, into economics. So we are expected to align with Goldman Sachs and Gartner. These, we even as a educator needs to keep tab of these people, their observation, their reports. So I exhort the graduating students, industrial engineering students, mechanical engineering students, and teachers to keep track of McKinsey reports, Goldman Sachs report, or Gartner report in a perpetual mode. It reflects a lot of intelligence. It reflects a lot of hard work, meticulous hard work. Therefore, I take majority of the cue from this kind of reports. So they say AI is going to drive competitiveness in the industrial setting. While the strategy will be by company size, industry, management teams, etc. Yeah.
You can check the
It says what? Benefiting from the resulting product innovation, labor efficiencies, and capital leverage risk being left behind. So there's a lot of risk involved in risk capital. So the modern AI-driven software solutions, learn from the previous experience. So a lot of software products which are pervasive, ubiquitous in the marketplace is with a lot of wisdom. Like man, the software solution also can energize from the previous understanding. So AI-driven packages also can help in mitigating the risk involved in the capital investment. Now, the Gartner, the IT industry, IT research firm Gartner anticipates this impact as well and projects it to take root sooner than later. It is already there. They foresee that 2018, more than half of large organizations around the globe will compete using advanced analytics. Analytics is data analysis. Data, they say data analytics. Now, because of advancement in hardware, pervasive, ubiquitous hardware availability, powerful personal hardware, PCs, personal computer. You need not have supercomputer, you need not have mainframe computer. Simple personal computer will suffice to handle massive data sets, can process massive data set, and a multitude of data analysis packages. They say data analytics packages. The last of these data analytics, big data analytics. So you can create database of videos, audios. You capture. The market researcher will go to marketplace, shopping place. They'll capture the conversation of the people involved. They'll collect from various places, various places of human endeavor. They'll capture their voice, their audio, their video. They'll create massive big databases. Database, normally previously we understand the database consisting of only text. Now, massive possibility of creating big mammoth video, audio databases, and there are matching software solutions. Software which we call big data analytics software, which can come out with a lot of surprising conclusions. Big data analytics, it is useful for all kind of enterprises, whether it is banking, insurance, for manufacturing, for marketing organization, for government, for e-governance, for e-commerce. Everybody, whoever is technology savvy, having an eye for this kind of tools. You know, some people even brazen it out. People will say without all this, no, I am sufficient. No, I am using my fingertip. I can develop solutions. I develop a lot of insight. But I'll tell you, these are simply brazening out, ignoring the reality. A single externally gifted person cannot be compared with massive ability of computing machine. The strength of the man and the strength of machine both are different. So the solution developed for computer-driven solutions are essentially derived from the strength of the machine. The manual procedure getting developed, even if the person is hugely blessed and intelligent, his procedures are based upon the strength of the man. Strength of the man is essentially the sensory systems. The machine doesn't have that. But you can also, if you want, you can also build that. We can make computers see things. We can build visibility to sight to or visibility to computer, the hearing ability, the touching ability. But then the strength of the machine is in its massive ability to carry out number crunching. It can carry out billions of operations, arithmetic, logical operation in nanosecond, in microsecond, in millisecond. That is the strength of the machine. Man cannot match up with the machine. Therefore, I exhort one and all, don't get fooled by one's massive ability, intellectual ability to do or offer evolved solutions. Better you leverage technology solutions which can hugely surprise you, which can help you to create new business model, you can create new revenue model, can understand the future. You can predict. The best of thing is you are better placed to predict the future course of the world, the mankind, even to some extent the future course of the nature. Now we are continuing that. So Goldman Sachs and Gartner says AI is going to drive massively the competitiveness of industry and businesses. Now, the other reality, other background is what? We are in a connected world. This happened the last 20 years, 25 years. People were exhorting the world is flat. People were exhorting and speaking about the virtues of global marketplace, globalization. Now, lot of things happened as a part of natural causes. Now we can last 10 years, last 5-6 years, we can see the trend of deglobalization. The countries and political establishments are looking inward. Mr. Trump says India first. Our Prime Minister says, Trump says America first. Our Prime Minister says India first. The nationalist governments, whether it is France or in Italy or in Argentina or in Brazil, those who are speaking about the nationalism, inward looking, their country first, speaking against the globalization, they are coming into power. So some reason, now we are also witnessing deglobalization. Now our Prime Minister also saying, reiterating that, along with his declaration of 20 lakhs aid for the economy, 20 lakhs aid for all the various affected groups. So that is also happening. So self-sufficiency, he exhorts for self-sufficiency in everything, especially in healthcare and defense. So this is happening not only in India, it's everywhere. It's all again we are becoming blessed or victim of natural causes. We are part of the greater design of the nature to be inward looking. Let it be. Let it be inward looking. So again, whether the IT companies are essentially leveraging global marketplace, they created massive wealth, filthy wealth. They are with a lot of cash, both all kind of the people, the Infosys, the TCS, all kind of Indian IT players with massively blessed with huge cash in hand. Only unfortunate thing is, while saying this, I say they are not trying to create at least one world-class product to be as a proud Indian entity. They are shunning away. They say they are shying away of risk. So they are something to do with Indian culture. We are frugal in nature. India evolved over a period of time. So we are good in frugal engineering. Therefore, frugal in nature. Therefore, we are good in frugal engineering. That is also contributing. But that frugality is also preventing Indian entrepreneurs to invest massively to create big projects. Only big projects, if you create 10 big projects, either standalone or collaborative projects, only then we can go for, you can find some breakthrough technology. If you are going for massive innovations or breakthrough technology, repeatedly you have to subject to failure. So it's not that now you invest $1 billion, $10 billion, you will get a breakthrough technology or a massively innovative technology. There is no guarantee. Americans are Europeans, American, their ecosystem, their gene, their DNA is about massive risk taking. So they are succeeding. Indian enterprises, all kind of enterprises, whether it is in manufacturing, mechanical manufacturing, or IT, or in civil contracting, or civil consulting, or in commerce, we don't have a single accounting standard. We are manipulating with the American generally accounted GAAP, generally accepted accounting package. Now we say we modified and create Indian product. So no, in short, no business sector is offering a world-class product till now in the global marketplace. So I am sensitizing. I am telling this to youngsters. Keep this in mind. If at all getting an opportunity, ponder over this. Do something to revert this. Otherwise, we will always, even if we create a lot of money, we will not be respected in the galaxy of the developed world unless we produce at least one world-class product in any of the sector, whether it is computer, IT, commerce, or international relations. I am exhorting all the youngsters to keep this in mind. Help India evolve as a total solution provider to create a world-class product, and also modify our curriculum from school onwards. You modify the curriculum to incorporate the help students, school student and graduate develop to take risk. Lot of entrepreneurial abilities are dormant within. So the curriculum can incorporate the teaching of risk-taking ability, entrepreneurial ability. Whoever is synchronized with that understanding, whoever is blessed with dormant ability of entrepreneurship, risk-taking ability, can contribute in the ensuing days. Now, we also understand that current scenario, we also understand that for industrial engineers and manufacturing engineers, the communication technology, the computer technology, the software, the hardware, the communication technology is pervasive, ubiquitous. The computer may not reached in lot of lot many cities and lot many towns and villages, but handsets, the mobile handsets reached everyone. The e-commerce reached everyone. So that is because this communication technology is very cheap. Therefore, we say it's pervasive, it is ubiquitous. So this technology getting leveraged by entrepreneurs essentially because it's cheap, it's possible. So keep that in mind. Don't assume that it's a elitist only select few can access and operate. It's not. Assume that, understand that these are all pervasive everywhere. Like you can go to the pawn shop and get a pawn. These are available all over India. It's not only in cities, everywhere it is available. So understand that is the reality now. And everybody now understands lot of now discourses on the human existence, why man here, why I'm here, all kind of spiritual questions. But then I exhort again all the graduates to understand that you can explore why you are here later. This point of time, focus on wealth creation. This is the mission for wealth creation, value creation for the mankind. So what you are here, why you are here in the world, essentially as a materialistic entity, you say you are here to create wealth and value for the mankind. We are also duty bound to offer cost and quality arbitrage for global supply chain. So if you can leverage technology, if you can develop procedures to eliminate waste, the procedures to eliminate non-value adding activity, that is waste, then you can say you can offer cost and quality arbitrage to the global supply chain. Now, people also subjected to cognitive illusions. Cognitive illusions like people say the graduates are not with quality. The quality in education is coming down. The matter of fact is the lack of job, lack of new investment. Without new investment, you cannot create job. So lot of things. Don't take this kind of rhetoric for granted. So whatever, and lot many things actually. Now I suggested that because of this pandemic scenario, you downplay examination, and you facilitate final year students to graduate somehow, because examination is not end of everything. Examination is a necessary evil. The teaching, the higher education is essentially meant for enabling graduates to develop understanding of various subject matter, develop various footprints. But lot of people thrive on the construct of examination. So these are all because huge conditioning. They cannot think. When I suggested, some people express doubt whether industry will accept this or not. Industry doesn't bother. Industry is bothering about productive human being, productive graduates with fair degree of intellectual and emotional integrity. Not heavily relying on the marks and the degree certificate and the marks, the credits awarded. So people are hugely conditioned with cognitive illusions. I exhort everybody again to break away from the conventional understanding, think aloud, relate with cause and effect, not go by the the biggest people, the people in the highest level also subjected to this kind of cognitive illusion. So don't take anything, anybody for granted. Try to have a critical analysis and take your own decision. So understand that we are all subjected to many times, subjected to cognitive illusions. We get carried away by rhetoric and massive conditioning by the past discourses in the public domain. Now, also understand that the last 20 years, lot of things are happening in an accelerated way. Lot of things are happening in an accelerated way. That is essentially because massive investment in these areas. Why massive investment? Historically, the history tells us that when if the whole world subjected to extreme fear, the whole world was subjected to extreme fear during First World War, Second World War. The whole world was under the grip of extreme greed during 2000, the beginning of this century. Even now, again, the complete world is under the grip of extreme fear. So extreme fear, when the whole world is subject to extreme fear, when the whole world is subject to extreme greed, a lot of innovation happens. Now innovations from 2000, from 90 onwards, is driven by massive greed. People made massive wealth out of this technology. Take the example of Microsoft, IBM, Bell Laboratories, Oracle, and lastly, the Facebook, the Twitter, now Google. No, these are all essentially driven by the greed in making more money. $1 billion, massive wealth. Now, during World War, the whole world was under tremendous fear all over the world. That also driven a lot of innovation, lot of breakthrough technology. Now, the whole world is under again grip of fear. This pandemic also can drive innovations. Now, what I'm saying is understand and accept and acknowledge that the country, the whole world is under accelerated change by innovation, by perpetual innovation, both product and process. Lot of processes are newly created, driven by the technology. It's not simple innovation, it is disruption. It is completely disrupted the normal way of doing the business. Now we say it's a new normal. Now, I also fear for the first time this online, the virtual interaction, virtual engagement of pupils, the graduates, the learners is popularized, is realized over a period of say 2 months time. Now it is going to be a new normal. Lot of new normal is going to get created in every sector. For education, it's a new realization. I published my first research paper in Aurangabad. There was a IST convention in Aurangabad, Government College Engineer. There I published a paper, Global Classrooms and Web-Enabled Education, 98. Then 2002, we published Web-Enabled Education, Critical Study of Web-Enabled Education in 2002, published in Greece, published in US. In 2002, 2004, yeah, 98 published the first paper. Then we realized that time there is a limitation of the bandwidth, the connectivity. We realized that it is little preeminent, little ahead of the time. We shelled on this, and moreover we realized that unless this web-enabled education, online education is introduced to the school, in higher education, all of a sudden, laterally you cannot introduce, you cannot make it effective. Now schools also, equipped with online education. Now it is going to be a new normal. Everywhere we can find this kind of changes, new changes, and it is amounting to disruptions. It's not normal change. It's not a gradual change. It's a radical, dramatic change. It's going to be new normal. 2000 advent of this web technology also created this kind of new normal. That time we failed to acknowledge this as a new normal, but then now we say we are witnessing new normal in every aspect of life. Now graduates are also expected to understand this life cycles, product life cycle. Don't assume that whatever you invented, created, innovated is going to be there in the marketplace for long time. You can go on milk these new innovations, new product, new process. That is not going to suffice. Everything is subjected to, every process, every product is subjected to a life cycle. Whether you like it or not, there is no way, no tools, no procedure, no template, no standard operating procedure where you can prevent, you can enlarge the life cycle. The product takes birth, it peaks, it remains there in the peak for some time, then comes down. Some other product will come and outsmart this. So understand that nothing is permanent. Everything is subjected to. No, that is true for economic cycle also. The fortunes of the political party, the political establishment, the business establishment, business monopolies, everything is subjected to product life cycle, which is natural. Man is too small to control over that. Therefore, understand that anything and everything is subjected to product life cycle. Burn this into your psyche. This is the bottom line. No, the change is the only permanent thing. And everything, even the fortune of the nation, the countries and nation is also subjected to product life cycle. We were, India as a country, as a nation state, were one of the most affluent in 17th century, 1600 onwards, one of the most, the best of GDP in that time, because we failed to participate in the industrial revolution. We were exploited by the colonial forces because of multiple reasons. We are also subjected to this kind of fortune, fluctuation of fortune. Now they say India is also expected to grow and create fortune for next under 50 years. So bottom line is understand the necessity of product and process life cycle and try to circumvent and minimize the losses, maximize the profit by serious understanding of the product life cycle. Now, our current political establishment hugely leveraged the concept and construct of the economy of scale, economy of volume. C.K. Prahalad, in his book Bottom of the Pyramid, he is no more. Bottom of the pyramid introduced or accentuated this understanding. The uncanny, the shrewd business person by default, Indian business or the global business people leveraged this previously also, but then the first time C.K. Prahalad through his book Bottom of the Pyramid accentuated the possibility of economy of volume, economy of scale. The political establishment, the current central establishment also leverage this and offer a lot of solutions, whether it is distribution of gas cylinder or the eco-friendly light bulbs or a lot of things. They hugely leverage this concept of economy of scale. The Geo, the telecom operator, also a massive success, massively, blissful to create economy of volume. It's a long, possibly long-term strategy was involved, massively succeeded. Now we are witnessing now a lot of investment from all over the world to be part of this big massive entity called Geo. Essentially leverage economy of scale. Now there is a new understanding, economy of velocity. Now you can speak of this economy of velocity driven by the computer, the communication technology, the massively available, pervasive, ubiquitous bandwidth. Now we are witnessing advent of 5G technology. 5G technology is going to revolutionize, like higher internet, introduce massive players in e-commerce space. Similarly, 5G is going to massively revolutionize the user experiences, the customer experiences, the engagements. So whoever is savvy, the technology savvy, whoever is building capability and competency in understanding this economy of velocity is going to hugely blessed. So understand the keyword economy of velocity. Velocity can be part of your business process if you integrate 5G kind of technology, and also also in the cusp of the mankind is in the cusp of creating quantum computing ability. The Google, the Microsoft, both are competing with coming out with massive computational tools and solutions leveraging these two. Here you won't be able to imagine the ability of quantum computing if it is getting materialized now. It is going to be magic. It is going to be magic with quantum computing. And also you can see there is going to be magic getting unfolded, unleashed through 5G technology, combination of synergy of 5G and quantum computing, and also convergence of virtual reality, augmented reality is going to create massive in the marketplace. And this e-commerce, e-governance experience, the security, the identification person is going to be hugely dramatized. So wait for that. Understand the economy of velocity, not only in one sector, every sector, whether it is in manufacturing, whether it is services, whether it is healthcare, whether it is in real estate, everywhere, this economy of velocity is going to play a huge role. And obviously we understand, it is in the public domain, product and process innovation, and to facilitate the speed, we are expected to leverage, this prototyping and testing should be fast. So we were familiar with the rapid prototyping, then digital prototyping. With the light, we can create models. Now this 3D printing is pervasive, ubiquitous everywhere. So that is contributing to the cause of economy of velocity and product and process innovation. And understand that information computing technology for manufacturing engineers, graduates, or industrial engineering graduates, understand that you cannot shy away from this reality. Develop basic footprints of information computing technology, treat that as force multiplier and resource multiplier. That is going to be way of life. The ICT driven procedures of way of life. What I am suggesting is you cannot live in isolation. You get immersed. You try to have an immersive experience, and you are not expected to develop proficiency in. You need not contribute to the technology per se. You develop proficiency in using this technology to develop, to create value. And because of this Indian setting, we are expected to contribute to the marketplace. So lot of early 90s we witnessed a lot of quality movements, starting from TQM, Kaizen, just in time, robust design, and quality function deployment. A lot of, I don't remember now, Kaizen, and at the end Six Sigma. All this was essentially to re-energize, originally invented, designed to re-energize Fortune 500 company. Now majority of Fortune 500 companies are Chinese companies, very few from India. America lost out to USA, lost out to China. It's all, again, we can attribute this to a lot of tangible thing, but then we also understand that a lot of things are natural, subject to natural forces, independent of man's understanding and now mindful activity. Whatever is expected to happen, it will happen. Now, but the people created procedures wherein they wanted to re-energize these big mammoth companies. Now, this AI-driven industrial engineering, AI-driven manufacturing, AI-driven factories are essentially a new quality movement. After Six Sigma, AI is going to be the next quality movement in industries all over. Nobody call this as a quality movement. I am taking my neck out and say AI is going to be the next quality movement in industries, essentially to re-energize. Essentially, whoever is proactive is going to leverage a lot of competency, lot of competitiveness in the global marketplace. And moreover, new quality movement integrates AI in business, and we are man and human being is also embedded with the DNA, is embedded with a longing for searching for unknowns. Even Elon Musk is undertaking a journey, voyage to Mars. Whether you are eating or not, your poverty is there or not, people are aspiring. One section of the people is always in the history of mankind. People took adventure, took endeavor to search the unknowns. So that is going to happen. So therefore, whether the factory should be driven by AI or technology, it is going to be a way of life. The man is of that kind. You cannot wish away. You don't debate whether it will take away the job. It is going to increase whether it is going to increase the level of automation in industry. Independent of that, embrace it. There is some anecdotal story from Japan. After Second World War, completely ruined Japan, re-emerged, and they were the world leader in consumer electronics. They captured the whole world. They created filthy wealth. They developed a lot of wealth. They can, even now today, Japan can live for under 100 years without doing any business. Under 100 years without doing any business, they can survive. That kind of wealth they created out of the consumer electronics products, and also through cost-effective, Kaizen-driven, just-in-time driven automotive enterprises. Now, they were good. They were anticipating. They created a lot of wealth. They initiated a process where they wanted to improve the culture of. They wanted to improve the culture of robots all over the world. They invested massively, a lot of money, billions of dollars, billions of yens. They invested in robotic research, assuming that robotics is going to be the new normal all over the world. But that failed to happen. Therefore, they lost out to US. Otherwise, had they not invested so much money for robotic innovation, robotic research, they could have been number one. They might be long back. They might have outsmarted US in economical terms. They are now 5th or 6th in economic terms. But what I am suggesting is, whether you consciously do it or not, at the end, everything is again subjected to natural life cycle and natural process. So automation, so independent of whether it is going to take away the job or not, whether it is going to increase the degree of automation or not, you better join the trend. You go along with the current. Don't swim against the current. That is the wiser thing to do. Therefore, instead of critically analyzing the merits and demerits of integrating AI in Indian enterprises, embrace it. Be the first mover in the marketplace. You will be blessed. Now, artificial intelligence, in 91 and 92, I initiated, I was exposed to the concept of expert system. The literature of expert system was familiar to me. I were exposed to a programming language called Lisp and Prolog. They say that time it is rule based. That time the concept of expert system was that. Expert system is essentially conceptualizing a software which can replace an expert in the field. A software which can replace a manager with massive experience, a doctor with massive experience. In short, expert systems are software tools which can replace an expert in the field. This was in 92. I initiated the professor now in Vijayate, Dr. Abhay Bambole. I initiated Abhay Bambole of structural department to undertake every dissertation in expert system for bridge design. So what I am suggesting is that time even the expert system was expected to be with a competency and the capability of learning by experience. The software was expected to learn from its experience. That concept was there in 92. Professor Bambole incorporated that the attributes in his software. It's a modern software. It's not with all kind of massive capability, but he succeeded. I initiated and he succeeded in doing that. So this concept was there in even 92. Now we see thereafter we were familiar with genetic algorithm or evolutionary algorithm. The specific instance of evolutionary algorithm is genetic algorithm, is to find the global maxima, global minima. Other optimization techniques is normally gets erroneous by getting into local minima, local maxima. People invented a procedure where genetic algorithm kind of evolutionary algorithm kind of protocols procedure wherein researchers can find global maxima, global minima. Now thereafter soft computing, neural network, fuzzy logic, neuro-fuzzy. These are the background before the advent of re-emerging of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a superset of multiple tokens. It is superset of machine learning, deep learning, data analytics. So together, if you take, if you discuss AI alone, AI alone can be related with the natural language processing. But then, normal people, AI means you are building intelligence to software systems, software tools. So a lot of procedures to build intelligence to software tools. One of the obvious thing is build intelligence to software tools from data analytics. Now, hardware tools are available. Cheap, powerful hardware tools are capable of storing massive data warehouses. There is a difference between database and data warehouses. Database will be homogeneous, uniform. People are capable of creating. There are templates and structures available where the practitioners, technology users can create data marts and data warehouses. Data warehouses are essentially databases from different sources. They say legacy data. So different enterprises having different tables in simple terms. Different databases created out of different number of tables, different number of columns. So different place for process of manufacturing, process of marketing, process of e-commerce, different operator having different tables with the different columns. Therefore, we say we are collecting a third party is collecting databases from different e-commerce operator, but different e-commerce operator having different tables of different numbers, different number of columns. Therefore, there is no uniformity, but there is a tool available to create a data warehouse. Data warehouse can accommodate databases from different entities. Now, that database, that kind of data warehouses can be used for carrying out data mining. Data mining algorithms are developed. The main success of computer engineering is computer science. Computer science is essentially contributed by mathematicians. So data mining algorithms are developed by mathematicians and scientists working in computer science and mathematics. They created a lot of algorithms. Now data warehouses can be subjected to data mining. Data mining can come out with a lot of patterns, lot of conclusions. For example, if you carry out data mining of last 50 years of rainfall, so you can predict what is going to happen in the next year, what is going to happen after 10 years, what is going to happen after 5 years, now whether it is going to be drought, whether it is going to be cyclone, all kind of things. Similarly, human activity, human society as an entity is also subject to natural forces. So the hidden pattern of human behavior, the natural forces can be unraveled by data mining. Now, the tools are created, hardwares are created, again cheap, ubiquitous hardware, cheap, ubiquitous hardwares are created to create database of big data. Big data means you can create database of video clips, you can create databases, audio clips, you can also create database emanating from stock exchange, database emanating from Twitter, database emanating from Facebook. So big databases are characterized by velocity and volume. There are some velocity, etc. But understand that Physically, you can create databases from Facebook, from Twitter, from stock exchange, from marketplace. You create videograph people, even their conversation. Before election, the politicians send a market survey to marketplace, various places, auditorium, shopping place, stadiums. From everywhere they create clips, they create audio clips, video clips. They figure out the sentiment of the people before their public meeting. They analyze, they create solutions, they create answers and offer solutions to meet the aspiration of that particular group, that gathering. So what I'm suggesting is people are capable of creating this kind of big data analytics. Now, data mining was before the advent of big data. Now, there are tools available which can carry out, we can carry out analysis of big data and come out with conclusions that we call that as data analytics. Now, to build intelligence to software tools in enterprises, we can leverage now big data analytics also, in addition to data analytics. A lot of other algorithms driven by neural networks. Now you can subject to the neural network of supervised learning, unsupervised learning, that again can come out with conclusions. So you can train, essentially what I'm suggesting is you can train a software tools to learn from the previous experience and current experience to come out with conclusions for the future. Now, machine learning, there are not three jargons associated with deep learning, associated with AI, deep learning, machine learning and AI, data analytics. Machine learning effort is essentially trying to match the best of the man. It is trying to imitate a human being. But the deep learning is essentially capable of also handle massive amount of data, like big data analytics software. Neural network with multiple layers can also handle massive amount of data. So deep learning network can also match the human being and also can transcend human understanding, can go beyond human understanding, can go beyond collective human understanding. Now that is going to create massive contribution in healthcare. That will downplay the role of medical practitioners. The deep learning solutions in healthcare is going to create a blessing for people at large, because it can go beyond the collective understanding of medical practitioners. That is the strength of evolving deep learning. So you as an industry engineer, you as a manufacturing engineer also understand that this is what happens in the marketplace. This is what happens in the enabling technology marketplace. How best we can leverage this for building efficiency, improving productivity, building competitiveness. So, some other scenario, some other setting, I'll come back and complete my this. It's taking more time. I wanted to show some more PowerPoint. Anyway, I am exhorting all to think aloud, keep your eye and ear open, understand what is happening in the marketplace, try to enthuse yourself, encourage yourself, motivate yourself to be competent in the marketplace. This kind of software tools, the proficiency in using software tools, in deep learning techniques, machine learning technique, AI, we can outsmart even the developed world if we can, without much delay in integrating, if you can reduce the setup time for integrating these tools in the production line, in manufacturing setting, in service sector, you will be ahead of developed countries to be competitive, to be more resourceful for the global market. I wish you all a great day today and a great future ahead. Economy is going to be revitalized after this pandemic. Seize the opportunity. Wish you all the best. I wish also Professor Vilas Shinde to continues to do the fantastic job he is doing now. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Is there any question from the participant? Sir, there is one question in the chat box. Can you differentiate between artificial intelligent machine learning, deep learning, because of all relates to data science?
All related to?
Data science.
Yeah, data science is all about data science is all about starting from DBMS, database management, then RDBMS, then object based, etc. Essentially focusing on database, and thereafter data warehouse, data mining, OLAP, data analytics. Now thereafter advent of big data analytics, the created database of big data. Then there are software tools which can process big data and carry out predictive analysis. Now that predictive analysis also can build intelligence to software for manufacturing for any kind of activity. That is data science. So indirectly that can build intelligence to software system. That way we can say it comes under wide definition of artificial intelligence. Now artificial intelligence per se is essentially classically natural language processing. So conversion of the product identified with natural AI is speech recognition. You speak, the software will be typing it, or the typewritten will be spoken out. The AI is classically related with natural language processing. It is trying to imitate man in terms of speech. But common man, we kind of people normally introduce AI, incorporating machine learning, deep learning. Now these are, I'll show if you want, I'll show. So normally machine learning, deep learning, AI are defined by algorithms. These are essentially defined by specific number of algorithms and specific set of algorithms.
Sir, what are the effects of AI on emissions, waste, and on global warming?
AI will, by and large, AI will drastically reduce actually. It is contributory. For green manufacturing, for green movement, emission control, it is by and large, it will avoid a lot of inefficiency. It build a lot of efficiency. Therefore, the moment the business become more efficient, industry become more efficient, manufacturing become efficient, obviously it is going to cut down the emissions.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thampi sir, very informative session it was. But one thing which you have said, it is very nicely spoken. Like whenever there is a difficult times, there is an innovation. So
yeah, when the world is under extreme fear,
yeah,
lot of innovation happens. Lot of breakthrough technology came out. Yeah. Similarly, when the world is under extreme greed, stock market, lot of boom, lot of noise.
Yeah.
That both human emotions create innovations and create breakthrough technology.
Yeah, yes, sir. Secondly, the question, it was nicely said. Second, my question is like you have said that there won't be any hindrance in like online, you can say education in our terms, but there are various drawbacks of this online education as far as India is concerned. Firstly is the remote villages, they don't have that facility, and government is trying to create, but it will have some time for it. And then secondly, the internet, you can say speed and all, it's quite an hindrance. So don't you think that the education system or the efforts of government to make the population literate will be hindered in this case?
My wife has
What is going
changed
to
that.
happen is, 5G is going to revolutionize. It is question of little time. Now, Dr. Bothra kind of people is going to enjoy this new setting. They will promote the political establishment. This kind of private capital is going to promote a lot of online learning. They'll try to minimize the role of teachers. And if it is a way of life, if it's again a national cause, nobody going to prevent it. This point of time, it is not going to happen all of a sudden. It will take another 10-15 years to replace man by machine, but it is going to happen. Now this point of time, now the graduates, those who are enrolling for higher education, is not habituated to use this kind of technology driven learning process. So that is happening now with CBSE, ICSE kind of schools, where from the primary onward they are using laptop and iPad, etc. In K-12 American setting, people are started using European setting. So eventually, this kind of brick and mortar institutes are going to perish, and this online teaching learning is going to replace all that. But then, this point of time, another thing is, it's very through online. It's very difficult to motivate graduates to study, say, 5 subjects in every semester. The 5 subjects in every semester is happening because we engage the attendance, classroom lecture. We are hugely succeeding in engaging students, and because of that, students are compelled to undergo a process wherein they develop basic blueprints of 5 subjects, 4 subjects. That is not going to happen with online. If everything is online, no student in the world will study 5 subjects every 3 months and every 4 months and subjected to examination by another 2 months, and for 4 years. No student will be self-motivated to do that. So this is happening. So we are Indian or higher education is hugely succeeding in creating graduates with huge, wonderful work culture, because we are hugely succeeding in engaging for 4 years actually. So every semester, they are getting exposed to 5 different subjects, 4 different subjects. So that way we are doing a good job in enrolling people ready for the enterprises. We are hugely succeeding in creating a supply chain of human capital for industry at large. That is not going to happen with only online. There can be flipped classroom, that kind of augmented classroom, etc. But it will take time. And otherwise, you need to invest massively in genetic engineering. You create genetic, designer babies, modifying the genetic mapping, create self-motivated kids and students. That time it is going to happen. Otherwise, for foreseeable future, nobody can wish away the teacher, even though our Bothra will try hard to replace teachers.
Sir,
Yeah.
Sir, probably you might be aware, I have shared that my one article which is published in the Diwali Anka, that is in the last year. So in that, the last particular paragraph in which I have mentioned that classroom teaching will be replaced by the online teaching now. the schools and colleges or the infrastructure will be there just for the co-curricular activities like sports and other kind of thing. So this is the time, or rather we can say that Corona has teaches the all teachers to be conversant or acquainted with this online platforms teaching as far as the overall. Of course, so there are some certain system which is to be decided and framed by the statutory authorities, because this is the time where in the future statutory authority will also create their way of functioning and design a particular kind of thing. So teacher removal will not be there, but at least there will be some kind of opportunity where half of the work from online and half of the work will be physical at the infrastructure or at the school and colleges. This is my opinion, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Artificial
Yes, sir.
intelligence need not be a classical definition for the normal usage, public domain. Artificial intelligence is a superset of machine learning and deep learning. The difference between deep learning and machine learning is trying to match the human being. Deep learning will go beyond, transcend human ability, because deep learning can handle the architecture of deep learning neural network is designed to handle massive amount of data like big data analytics, and big data science also can contribute to artificial intelligence. So both are different. Data science and artificial intelligence both are different. Now move the slide.
Yeah.
Each and every token is so these are the popular AI algorithms. Now next, so differentiate. This is a fair definition of AI. Now, go by algorithm. The machine learning algorithms are this. So for the common man, we kind of people, differentiate these jargons by its algorithms. What kind of algorithms are getting used? Machine learning, deep learning, and AI. Also show the algorithms of deep learning. Next slide. Deep learning algorithm.
Next, sir.
So yeah, it's over. Yeah. So you can give this to this document to the whoever is interested can be given these
Yes, sir.
documents.
Yes.
I send you 3 documents. All 3 can be given to these participants.
I will share.
Whoever is interested can give. Yeah.
Yes, I will share all the documents with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, sir, our next guest is also there in the room. I would like to sum up.
Yeah.
The first one.
It is machine-driven clap or no, actual clap?
It's a sir, actual clap which is to be
recorded. Actual clap recorded by machine.
Yes, because you are talking on the artificial and the machine.
That's good.
You have given a very nice and valuable inputs as far as the overall topic is concerned, and you have spare time from your valuable schedule, and I would like to thanks for that particular thing. At the same time, as a token of love and appreciation, we are giving a plaque to you, which is for the.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, for giving us.
Accept with all humility. Thanks a lot.
So this is for your valuable time and giving the input on this particular topic, artificial intelligence-driven industrial engineering practices. There is one question I could not raise that in between. Our one III officer, admin officer, has raised that question, Mr. Subodh. He says that the block technology will take over the artificial intelligence, or what is the kind of thing?
What is that?
Now, block technology is the
blockchain.
Blockchain technology will replace the
blockchain.
Yeah.
So blockchain technology is also again new things. New evolving technologies are deep learning,
yes,
blockchain technologies, and quantum computing, and convergence of these with 5G. 5G in combination with this is going to create lot of magical experience. Blockchain technologies are essentially trying to create uncorruptible, non-corruptible ledgers. Once you create it is It is a document will be lying in multiple places, and no way, no tools can modify that tool.
Yes.
The ledger cannot be modified. That is the crux of blockchain technology. It is good. It is going to contribute massively to smart contracts. So that contract will not be modified thereafter. The document created in a specific time frame will not be modified thereafter with any of the technology, because this document is going to be lie in multiple hundreds of thousands of various servers. So the crux of blockchain technology is non-incorruptible ledger. That is the bottom line.
Yeah.
Now that is again evolving to make it more robust, infallible. It is almost infallible at this point of time. Still, that is also the basis for cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Cryptocurrency is also energizing from this blockchain technology. So together, blockchain technology with the deep learning, machine learning, AI is going to create magic for mankind, those who are in enterprises.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Our next guest is available in the room. So, Harish sir.
Sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. I could
Good
not find into the room. Yes.
Yeah.
Thampi sir.
Yeah.
Next, our next officer, next speaker is Flying Officer Harish Kutemate.
Correct.
He is going to talk on the opportunities for an engineer in Indian Armed Force as an
Correct.
officer.